My dad, at that moment in time was sitting right next to me, and he said, you can either look at the fact that you didn't get drafted, or you can look at the 20 teams that are calling you right now. And that quickly shifted me and my mindset into a different perspective of, okay, now let's look at what's possible, what teams are calling.
What's up, listeners? I love today's podcast because I got a guy that, like, if you don't do your homework, you're gonna just think, oh, he's a football. It's just transactional. This guy caught passes in the NFL, and that is so not Bennie Fowler. Like, Bennie, I'm so glad we got a mutual friend, Ken Law. He's the one that introduced us. He's like, you guys are gonna love each other. And of course, when we first talked, you're like, who's this guy? And I'm like, who's this guy? But yeah, he was right on, man. He was spot on. I mean, okay, let's set this up properly, though. You did have like an amazing adventure. You've caught passes in the NFL from, and tell me if I'm getting this wrong, you caught Peyton Manning's last touchdown.
Yep.
You've caught passes from his brother Eli. I'm sure Eli loves that I'm describing him that way. I think from Drew Brees as well, right?
Yep.
I miss anybody?
Yeah, Daniel Jones, Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch. Those are the guys that people don't necessarily know as well. But I appreciate all my quarterbacks that I've caught passes from. Kirk Cousins in college.
Oh, nice.
Got some legendary people, Connor Cook and Andrew Maxwell. So Tyler O'Connor. But those are all the quarterbacks. So I like to give everybody their due diligence.
As you should. Shame on me. Okay, so 8 years in the NFL, right?
Yep.
8 years as a professional wide receiver. I think I shared this with you before. I mean, what people don't know is life after the NFL. And you are a curious guy. And we talked about, this is not an interview. This is a conversation today. Right, you can ask whatever questions you want, fire them back at me. It's like a tennis match. I'll zip something back over to you. But let's start with the reality that when I Google Bennie Fowler and BennieFowler.com comes up, it isn't you.
No, no, it's a legendary guy who gave me life. One part of the other half that gave me life, but it's my dad. Bennie Fowler, the CEO, executive, former vice president of Ford Motor Company, former COO of Jaguar and Land Rover, just a legendary guy. But even before all those titles, he's dad, he's a husband, he's a dad of 4. All his kids went and got scholarships to play in a sport in college. So he's an incredible man and really just led the way in terms of who I am as a person today.
And then 2 siblings. Am I getting that right?
I'm the oldest of 4. So I have my brother who is a basketball coach at Northern Arizona. Then I have my sister Taylor, who plays basketball at Perry University, and then my sister Madison, who plays volleyball at Florida Southern.
Okay. And I would look, this is one of those times where I wish we had video, because you could see your badass setup behind you. You got lots of helmets, but on the wall you've got Peyton Manning's jersey, and next to him you've got Draymond Green's jersey. How are you and Draymond tight? Is it a Michigan State thing? Is it a before that? How did you guys meet each other?
No, Draymond and I got we met. We played on the same AAU travel basketball team, so we played for the family and met through a mutual friend that I went to high school with. And that's where we met. But I would say our relationship kind of where it, started to pick up was at Michigan State. We both went to Michigan State. He's a year older than me. And then we became really good friends up there. And our relationship and friendship has actually gotten even better as those years have gone on. And he's just an incredible person, incredible leader, obviously an incredible basketball player. But yeah, that's where we met. Michigan State. It's a family. Spartans will, baby.
All right. So, give me 3 words to describe your relationship with Draymond.
Wow. Fun, honest, Adventurous.
And why does that work for you?
Why does it work for me? If I'm getting along or if I'm going to have a friendship or a relationship with anybody, it's got to be fun. I appreciate honesty, and people who are very close to me, it's more of the honesty that they give me. And I think one of the best things about Draymond, even my brother being, my best friend, is that honesty is everything. My fiance, honesty. I need honest. I don't want people to always just pat me on the back. I do appreciate encouragement, but I also need honest feedback in terms of how I'm presenting myself, what I need to improve on, where I could be better, and, honest opinions if they don't think something is right that I might be doing. And I appreciate that.
All right. So you kind of already went there, but I think in the spirit of, okay, give me 3 words to describe Bennie Fowler.
3 words to describe me: risky, driven, leader.
All right, let's touch on the last one first. And maybe I should have done a better job.
I need your 3.
Oh, wait, this is the conversation part?
Yeah, this is of course. So okay. I'll explain mine after you explain your 3.
Part of me is like, wait, I'm asking the questions, but you're right. Okay, let me. I think my 3 are curious, relentless, and fun-loving.
Okay.
I think those are my 3. I mean, I know you didn't ask me to go deeper, but we're here for a short period of time. I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
I like people. Like, I genuinely am curious. I'm a story guy. I'm a storyteller. I'm a story maker. I want to consume great stories. I study story. Every single one of us has a story. Like, I want to know, how the heck did Bennie Fowler go from Beverly Hills, Michigan to the NFL? I want to know how that happened. I mean, you grew up in a sports family, but I like the second story of, and this is the part I felt like I didn't set up great. Ken Law, our buddy, thought we'd get along because of our love of leadership, our love of being risky, like you said, but in business and growing new businesses and growing teams and bringing clarity. So I think that's why, we'll work backwards from that, because I feel like some people know Bennie Fowler. They think they know you from the NFL. They don't really know you, but they think they know you. But what you're doing now and your passion, do you feel like you have, so why don't you kind of explain what you're doing now? We'll go back to the NFL, but I guess I'm curious, do you have the same tenacity or grit or whatever it takes mentality in the leadership arena than you did in the arena? And again, maybe first set it up by, what are you doing now? Get people caught up to speed.
Yeah. So I would call myself a strategic advisor, and it really just depends on who I'm talking to and what they want to know and how to help them win. So yes, I do feel like I'm in and have the same intensity and focus in terms of what I'm doing. I've partnered with a financial firm based out of Michigan called Podium. That is to help athletes, entrepreneurs, and small business owners understand their strategic financial plan, so they're not worrying about where money is going to be coming from in their later years. One of the number one fears of pre-retirees is, are they going to outlive their money? So how do we put people in a position to win? And we don't want to manage their money. We want to come up with a strategic plan of where and how can you do the things that you want to do? How do you maintain your quality of life while you're on this earth? My other business, Portical, we help business owners grow their revenue and profit 3 to 10 times EBITDA. That is just like building an NFL team. That's like growing an NFL team to a championship level. The way we do that is 3 ways. We do that through a culture of performance, not just a culture, but a culture of performance. The systems and processes to scale. As you're getting to that 1 million mark, as you're getting to that 5 million mark, or that 5 to 20 million, 20 million to 30 million, 50 million, if you don't have the proper structure and systems in place, it will break as you're trying to grow. And then how do you develop that next generation of leaders within your company so you can step out of the day-to-day of the business and really work on where the business is going to be in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And that is basically how all NFL teams, I mean, there's a draft every single year. There's free agency. How do you put all these right people in the right seats to achieve what you see as the CEO and leader of these teams and these organizations? And that's what I love about leadership, is because, yeah, you can have all the knowledge and read all of the different books, but are you putting it into place? Or are you just saying the quote? How are you actually showing up as a leader? And I know that's what you do. And I'd be curious to just hear from you in terms of, why do you love what you do?
Well, I think when you get the right leader, and there's a lot in that little bit right there, right?
Yeah.
When you get a willing leader who is open to feedback, but you would think a guy that had a show about courage, that my favorite word in the dictionary would be courageous. It's not. My favorite word is willing. I love the word willing. That is my, you talked about your company's podium. That is a podium word for me, right? Because I think if you're willing, it means you're open to hearing another point of view. And then the double entendre, right? If you make a decision, we're going to will this thing through. We're going to see it through. So I love leadership because when I'm working with the right partner, because I can help them get clear. And if you can't get clear, you're not going to create belief. And no one knows that. Like you've been in some serious locker rooms, right? And I was smiling when you were talking about your business, because if I would have blindfolded the audience, spun them around 6 times, chopped off the front of the episode, and they just sort of swooped in, I don't think they would have assumed this was a player who did 8 years in the NFL. And thank goodness you were an economics major at Michigan State. How serious were you in the classroom? Did you go for football, or did you know you were going to figure out a way to do everything?
No, education was always one of the most important things. I wanted to be a communications major. My mom thought it would be a basket weaving major. She thought I was just going to basically just go through the motions. With what I do now, communications definitely would have been very beneficial. I think a lot of business experience can be taught through school, but I also think it's taught more through actually trial and error, going out there, seeing different things and learning from people who have already done it or seen these scenarios and situations. So I think it's a give and take. But, when I was in school, I was more intrigued, and I still am super intrigued in terms of personal development, leadership development. Running a business, in terms of the systems and things that you need to do to scale, are simple characteristics or simple things that you can implement. But in terms of actually growing a business and actually building one and growing one is one of the hardest things that people will ever, especially if they're a founder. And I just think that I'm just super intrigued by people's stories, the mindset, because that's the thing. The only thing that gets in the way are us as people, and conflict, and how do we handle that, or being afraid to share something, or not having the mindset to continue to keep going, especially as a startup or being a founder of a company, trying to get it off the ground, bootstrapping it. Those are some of the hardest days that they'll just give up. And how do people get past that? Or how do these stories continue to inspire you? I know that you have an incredible story, and stories probably inspire you to just keep going.
To me, every hurdle I ever sort of stumbled into was a opportunity to build the muscle of the mindset. That's all it was. It's like taking your mind to the gym, and are you gonna lift those weights or not? Are you gonna go for it or not? By the way, your mom completely just put me in the basket weaving camp. Come on, Mom. I was a kid. I turned out okay as a communications major, but I got to tell you,
definitely. I think we already had the conversation and discussion, and she was like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that."
Well, again,
But
you turned out all right too, I think, no?
right. Decent.
I mean, so you come out undrafted. Back then, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this all day, all hour. We're gonna toggle between the two
Yeah.
worlds. You come out undrafted, like, I mean, back then, ego has to play a little bit, right? Like, I mean, are you like, what? Like, did that really just happen? Like, did you think you were gonna get drafted? Obviously, Denver takes a shot on you. I think you're a practice squad year one. Like, first, talk me through how you're feeling on draft day, and just take it from there.
Yeah, I think definitely ego played a part in it. Definitely thought I was going to get drafted, especially the season that we came off of at Michigan State, winning the 100th Rose Bowl, went 13-1, only Big Ten team in history to win every Big Ten game that year by 10 or more points. It's like, how do I not get drafted, even in the later rounds? And I thought I would be projected, 5 to 7 rounds and get drafted in one of those later rounds. But, it was just, it was a tough moment. You think that you're going to hear your name called and you put in all this work, you get invited to the combine, and then you don't get drafted. And, my dad, at that moment in time was sitting right next to me, and he said, you can either look at the fact that you didn't get drafted, or you can look at the 20 teams that are calling you right now. And that quickly shifted me and my mindset into a different perspective of, okay, now let's look at what's possible, what teams are calling. Let's do the research on the teams and who has a history of playing undrafted players, and where can I actually learn the most, the quickest. And that was Denver. Denver was the second team that offered me the most money, and the Detroit Lions offered me the most amount. But I was like, you know what, let me go outside of my comfort zone. I'm choosing Denver. If I can play with Peyton Manning, I can play. And if I get on his good side, I'll be good forever. And then here we are, 8 years later playing in the NFL. And that's, it's because of the decision I made to leave comfort zone, leave Michigan. But it was also a testament to, you surround yourself with the right people. And my dad being in that moment and helping me understand, like, hey, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the positives, or are you looking at all the things that are wrong right now? And that's what helped the ego shift.
He can't help it on mentality, can he?
No, I mean, when you're running a global organization like Ford Motor Company, you have to, what's important now, and thinking correctly under pressure is something that he lives by.
So you get to Denver, when you're in that environment, obviously there's a show about courage, and like, there's a lot of fear. There's a famous proverb that fear and courage are brothers. And does fear help you? Or is it like, I can't worry about that. I got to go across the middle. I got to zip across the middle. I got to do what I'm supposed to do and prove that I can be of value to this team. Like, but were you ever afraid of the NFL? Were you afraid to go across the middle?
Absolutely. Every single day. There's fear every day. You're playing at the highest level. Your money's not guaranteed. You can't really afford to mess up. So, yeah, there's always going to be some fear and nervousness, but that's also because you want to do well. You're excited. So how do you have that shift in perspective? You're not in fear of like your life, maybe your livelihood, if you know and you believe in yourself, I think that's where the fear, you can help the fear is your preparation level. And I think there have been times where the fear hasn't been as big because I was super prepared. And I prepared myself for all the things. Now, there are always going to be some things that you don't have the answers to and you're not going to be ready for. But that is one of the things that has helped me overcome those fears, and just how are you present, but how are you prepared? Presence and preparedness. I'd be curious to see, what fears have you had? How have you handled those things? And the fears that you've seen in leaders, how have you coached them around that?
Yeah, I always start an engagement asking one simple question. Are you stuck? Are you stale? Are you scared? Or are you spinning? So every single time I start my process of working with somebody, because you need courage for any one of these four. Are you stuck? Hey, stuck is a temporary moment, right? Stale, we've got a problem, right? There's probably something you haven't addressed. And so that's stuck perpetuated. Scared, I think, is being human. It's just being human. Like, that's just our standard operating system. And spinning spinning, it might be a legitimate problem that you need talent and expertise to come in and help you do what you need to do and shrink down whatever that fear is. So I always start there. I always start with, like, if I can get an honest answer out of a leader, then I know we're on the right path. And usually it's somebody's stuck or somebody's scared, you know, and maybe they're both. They don't want to admit one or the other. But I am totally of the camp that a lot of the work that we're doing is getting you hyper aware of what matters most, or getting you prepared for the stresses and speed of life and business. And that's all of the work we're doing with our leaders. So you're resonating with me on, like, preparation. I imagine nothing would bother a Peyton Manning more than having a receiver who wasn't prepared, like how I put it back on you. Right? Yeah. But was there a moment in the NFL where you're like, this is it, I belong? You felt like there was a specific moment?
I mean, I would say just throughout my first year, as I was going throughout my first year, and I was playing against some of the defensive backs and training camp, you just like, okay, I've gotten open on this guy. He's at the top. He's in year 10. I can do this. And I think that's one of the things that has helped me, and it's also helped me shape other leaders in today's world, is that wherever you are right now is where you're meant to be. Like, you don't get put in these positions. I'm a believer in God. So you don't get put in these positions if he doesn't think you're capable. And I think that's one of the things that I had to recognize and become even more self-aware of, like, what do I do really well? And, you know, what do I do better than anybody else on this team? And, you know, I can get to point A to point B fast. I can understand the playbook, and I can play all three positions. That's the reason why I was prepared to play with Peyton and end up catching his last pass. It was more about trust than anything. So I would say those moments. And, you know, once you go into that locker room for 30, 40 days, you know you belong. When the guys start talking to you, or those coaches start talking to you, like, they've done their research on you. They're investing in you.
So again, I don't want this whole episode to be about the NFL, right? But you did catch Peyton's, I think, last pass, which is a 2-point conversion in the Super Bowl. You're Super Bowl champ. By the way, did you win your Super Bowl first year or second year?
Second year.
Were you just like, oh, this is so easy. Every other year I'm going to win the Super Bowl?
That's what I really thought. I honestly thought that. and then Peyton retired.
Yeah, but Peyton's a great leader, and so, you know, you have this great. You had like these amazing rocks in your life, like your father, you know, and I imagine your mom. You learn leadership from your mom. Then you go into these locker rooms, you meet somebody like a Peyton. What like intrigued you by these, especially like Brees? Was he a leader? Like, I'm sure he was a leader, but like, what did you learn from these guys that you could share that would like work in our world down here?
Well, we're all in the same world. Building a business and what a football team is literally the same thing. You have your head coach. Well, you got your owner, you got your general manager, you got your front office staff, you have your coach, who is basically running this team, who's like your head of sales, and then you have these players. And if you look at these players, there's a whole bunch of entrepreneurs looking for an investment from that owner. And I think that's one of the most important things for people to understand, is how the parallels from sports to business. But when I think about my dad, I think about the Peytons and the Elis and the Drew Breeses of the world, the thing, even my mom and brother and fiance, just give everybody their kudos right now. But one of the things from those three quarterbacks that I played with is they're super consistent. They're not up and down people. What you see is what you get in terms of how they conduct themselves on the meeting, how they prepare. It's the same. You don't see it like, okay, I played really well, now I'm going to go above and beyond, and we lost, and now I'm down in the dumps. All those guys were the same. They handled things the same. They were vulnerable leaders. hey, I don't know the answer to that. I will find the answer. They didn't try to act like they knew everything. And a lot of those guys, and they also had fun. Team dinners, functions, different team building activities away from football is what I think they did really well, and they're awesome dads.
I mean, there's so many good little magical moments in there, right? And you know, I want to hold on this, but I'm going to ask you later, you know, for anyone who's listening, what are the takeaways? Like, what are the, if you had, like, let's not do this yet, but like, start marinating on, like, what do you think the 3 lessons are from the experiment of life that you've had? And where I really want to get to now is this life after the NFL. You know, you basically love leadership like I love leadership. You've written a book about this about your life called Silver Spoon. For people that don't know about the book, how would you describe, why'd you write it, first of all, and how would you describe it?
Well, I wrote it because there was just a time where I was coming off of Denver, my 4 years in Denver, getting ready to hit free agency. So the Chicago Bears came calling, and I was like, all right, this is the team I'm going to. So I moved to Chicago. I'm now living and playing in the city that my mom is already in. So everything seems like it's coming together. We get to the intertraining camp, and I get a call from Ryan Pace, the GM of the Bears, and he said, yeah, we're going to let you go. And that at that time, I had not been cut in the NFL. So it's 4 years of winning a Super Bowl, playing at the highest level. Things are going really well, and I just got cut for the first team I just went to. And it just rocked my world. My now fiance, I asked her to move out there with me. And now I'm showing this is what life is like. I'm cut. I don't know where my income is coming. And it's like, okay, like if the NFL doesn't come calling back, what am I going to do? And that's where I had the idea to write my book, Silver Spoon, The Imperfect Guide to Success, because I had already had so many unique experiences that I feel like people would relate to and could understand. And I've also had great friends that didn't grow up how I grew up. I grew up in the suburbs, and everybody in the suburbs feels that you have everything handed to you. And I want to make sure that wasn't the case when I told my story, because I don't have that typical athlete story. I come from a very good background, a humble background, but a very good one in terms of I had both my parents in my life. I went to private school, and my parents really invested in myself and my siblings. So I wanted people to understand that. And that's why I wrote the book. And here we are. And I think it's, you know, to help people understand you got the same 24 hours, no matter where you come from. How are you going to maximize your time? And then for the kids out there, it's a chapter in there that you don't have to be an athlete to make $1 million. You know, the richest people and the most wealthy people I know are not athletes. And I think that's unique for them to understand. So you don't have to just always pick the athlete path, even though it is a fun one.
I mean, we're kind of glazing over, I think, one of the harder questions I might ask you, which is, how hard was it for you to write a book? Like, honestly, what was that like? Like, was it easy for you? Because I do it too now. You know, I talk about my book, and when you're in it, you don't know where it's going. Like, I didn't know where my book was going. I describe it like a documentary, and I got to sit with all these really smart people, but then you're trying to connect the dots of what you learned from someone at Apple, and then this person over here at Amazon, and here's how Harvard's doing, and then this Virgin Galactic astronaut's thinking this. Was it something that you could, for me, it was hard, I guess. I'm putting my stuff on you, basically. Mm-hmm. Was it a month-long process? Was it 6 months?
I know, about a year and a half, 2 years. It was long.
Yeah.
It was long. And for the many reasons that you just pointed out, I didn't know where it was going. I had a lot of imposter syndrome around it. Like, you know, all right, that sounded like a good chapter, but like, who am I to write this? Like, I'm not the Peyton of the world. And, you know, I'm not all these people who write these books. And then, you know, just that toggle back and forth in your mind of like, is this going to resonate? Like, can I do this? Can I say this? And like, you know, having people coach me around it, like, hey, this is yours. And even if it only impacts one life, that's all that matters. And I think And that's what pushed me through. But no, it took a while because I was still playing. I had the ideas for the chapters. That came pretty quickly, but then getting, the words on paper and making sure it was succinct and making sure the message was done the right way, I think was one of the most important things.
Yeah, no, and that really, this is where I wish there was video so people could see I'm nodding along here. Yeah, I that one person, like that, even if it changes one person's life, I didn't go into it this way, but I realized it changed my life. Like I wrote my book because I needed the book. I was the first one that needed the book. And I could tell you that imposter syndrome was real. I had my own stuff I had to work through. I will tell you, it's funny, like there's these like little moments still from the book that I remember and still show up in talks with my business. And one of them was when I had enough. I was like 20% through. I was like, there's something here. And I remember posting on Facebook that I'm writing a book about courage. And I call that state it and create it. Like, don't keep it inside. State it and create it, right?
I love it.
You state it and create it, good things happen. And the funny thing is, I think I didn't post it for two reasons. One, the imposter syndrome for a long time, right? I'm not good enough. Someone's going to come at me. I wasn't ready. And then two, I thought someone's going to steal my idea. I don't want anyone to steal my baby of an idea. And what happened, obviously, was the book got better. People were like, oh my gosh, I love this topic. You need to talk to this person from this business. Hey, do you know this person? I can connect you. And it's almost sad that where my standard operating system went first, and I don't think this is just me, was fear and negativity when people want to help. People want to opt in, especially if the purpose is pure and it's good, then the right people step up and are like, oh, you need to talk to this person. You got to talk to that person. Did you have any of that with your book?
Yeah, I think, I added all friends to my book. Because they all come from different backgrounds than mine. And I wanted people to see different perspectives of certain people that I had for certain titles. And it was awesome when I reached out to them and they would say yes. But I know, definitely in your mind, in my mind, in everybody's mind, when we don't have it strategically all figured out, our brain fills it in with negativity. And that's just one of the things, like, even when you're having a tough conversation with a coworker or an employee, when you don't understand where they're coming from or why they're saying what they're saying, your brain will fill it in as, a negative thing to protect you and to protect us. And I think our brains were trying to protect us. But, that's one of the things where you have a coach or you have a strategic guide of how you're going to write this book or do anything incredible, because it is scary when you don't have all the answers of how it's going to be received or who's going to read it, or, it's so many different things. But I heard a Les Brown quote, and I'm not going to be able to say the whole thing, but the richest places is the graveyard. It's full of ideas and books and movies and things that were never written or never said. And we don't want to go to the graveyard with those regrets.
Oh yeah, you're speaking my song now. Courage is regret insurance. Like, that is a Ryan Bermanism that I love to say.
I love that.
But it's true. So let's get into MVP leadership, because, I have a small secret. For being a creative guy, I love systems. I'm a lover of systems. I like process. I think process gives us the tools we need to get to that magic. And so you've got a little bit of that with MVP leadership. First of all, is that what you call the business? Is that the process? Is that just the idea?
No, that's the process of the leadership business in Portugal. Is MVP leadership: mindset, vision, performance, and then the leadership components, the competencies that every leader needs to have. But it starts with the mind. The mind is something that you're going to take with you everywhere. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to understand and create that resilience and that willpower to do incredible things. And you have to have that vision and that clarity for where you're going. What's that roadmap to get there, and understanding that there will be turns and different things and different roadblocks along the way, but having that vision of where you want to go, where do you want to be 5 to 10 years out? And then where do you want to strategically focus the next 6 to 12 months to achieve that? And then performance. What are the goals that you need to hit? What are the milestones that you need to hit? Who's doing what, by when, where? Roles and goals. What are we doing? How are we measuring these things? You cannot change. You cannot change what you don't measure. And then that leadership piece. Leadership is a small word for such a big job. And you need the mindset, you need the vision, you need the performance to be an incredible leader.
Man, I love that. I just think it's clear. It makes sense. I like what you did there with the sports, with the MVP. That's nice. When did you come up with it?
I think it's I would probably say I came up with that maybe like a year ago. And trying to figure out how to separate myself within the marketplace, but then also stay true to myself and not try to be like, another business person in terms of what the process that they've created, but what resonates most with me. And sports has been my entire life. So why would I try to go away from that? And I've played with, Peyton has 5 regular season MVPs. Eli has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Drew Brees has a most valuable player. But I think we're all most valuable players. You have to be the most valuable player, and you have to see yourself as an MVP. That doesn't mean you have to be egotistic. That doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. But you have to see yourself as the most valuable player in the role that you have in life, and your relationships are on the team that you are in. And how would you
This may be the zinger of questions. Well, you tell me. What's the most courageous thing you're working on now?
I would say that, I haven't really announced it yet, but it will be to raise $100 million to put into companies and help them from a growth equity standpoint. I don't want to do private equity, but surrounding myself with the right people and then going out there and asking for that money to deploy into companies, help them grow their revenue and profit 3 to 10 times, and really empower business owners to achieve what they want to achieve. That's going to be scary, to get in front of these family offices, in front of these right people to ask for that money. And then also getting the investment thesis down to where we can show the ROI on the capital that we're raising.
You heard it here first at the Courageous Podcast, the co-partnership of Bennie Fowler and Ryan Berman raising $100 million together.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
And we're gonna go help some businesses. All right. For those who've been listening, what are the 3 lessons? Give them 3 takeaways from this conversation.
The biggest room in the world is room for improvement. I think that's the biggest room in the world, is room for improvement. We're always constant. We can improve. We can do so many things better. There is no such thing as work-life balance. It's more of equilibrium. There are ebbs and flows, but the whole work-life balance thing is kind of a myth to me, I believe, in terms of there are times where there's these seasons, there's an NFL season. That's 7 months of dedicated time. And then there's an off season. How do you separate, how do people, including myself, put and make life like that? Hey, these next couple months, I'm focused and I'm detailed oriented, and I don't have any time, or I have to sacrifice. And then letting your significant other know, or people around you, the next month after that, I'll have a couple weeks where things aren't as serious. And how do we let people know around us that these ebbs and flows? It's going to make us be more intentional. And then the last thing would be, you have to go through it to get to it.
Oh, I like that.
There is no such thing as the perfect path. There is no such thing as the perfect leader, but there are going to be uncomfortable things and situations that we're all going to be in, trials and tribulations. And how do you surround yourself with the right people to go through those things? But putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, even if you've done incredible things, what's the one thing that you're avoiding? What's the one conversation you're avoiding? What's the one thing that you need to do to get better and grow?
I love these. I always like to say, what's in the way is the way.
Okay. I love that.
Which is the same thing, right? So I love these three. I want to make sure I nail this. So the biggest room in the world is room for improvement. That was 1. 2 is no such thing as work-life balance. It's about more like equilibrium. Is that how you described it?
Yep. Equilibrium. Yep.
And 3, you got to go through it to get to it.
Yep.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm like ready to run through a wall. Let's go run through a wall.
Let's go. What are your 3 takeaways from the conversation?
1 is open-mindedness always wins. I'm just commenting. I'm going visceral here, right? So open. Even you, like the way you ask questions back, it's hard to see things turn into pen. It's always pencil, right? And you're working on making it a little bit better. Nothing's like set in stone and ink. 2 is probably good news and bad news is you're never fully defined. You're not going to be defined as an NFL player. You're more than that. You're also not going to be defined as just someone that's written a book. You're more than that. You're not going to be defined as someone that's just doing leadership. You're more than that. It's almost like a constant evolution, in my opinion. And then 3, it's not how you start. It's not even how you finish. Just enjoy the ride, right? Like if you set an expectation for yourself from the beginning, well, you've just limited what's possible. And so, and by the way, if you wait to the end, you're going to miss the good stuff in the middle. So I like how you talked about, Draymond and Peyton, 2 really different personalities, but you describe both of them as fun. Like they want to have a good time, right? They want to laugh. And so I think maybe getting to happy is enjoying the ride and having fun and enjoying the journey.
Love it.
Dude, this is a good start. All right, I'm coming to you. We're going to talk about this business. I'll see you in Beverly Hills, California, right?
Yeah.
No.
I'm either coming to San Diego or Denver.
Oh, that's right. You're out here now. Even better.
Yeah.
All right, we will figure that out for real. And Bennie Fowler, you're the man. I'm so glad Ken Law connected us. And, hey, mark my words, listeners. Bennie and I, we're going to figure out something to do together, even if it's a speaker series. We're going to figure something out.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Bennie.
Thanks.